First of all, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, man, it's great being on set with you, Larry. I like this.
Thank you. Anytime you're in the neighborhood. Yeah. So, can the EPA, can they do what it sounds like they want to do? They have the authority legislatively, constitutionally, and whatnot?
Well, look, me personally, I think the answer is no. We're looking into this right now. The gas stove thing was one. Now we have this thing with they're dealing with EVs, making sure everybody buys them, even though nobody wants them. And the bigger issue is most Americans can't afford them.
Yep.
You could put all this stuff out on the road, but if people can't buy it, you know what it's going to do? It's going to pile up on dealerships. You know, lease financing, car planning financing for the dealerships. That's going to pile up, not be good for the economy. Those type of things occur. But at the end of the day, I don't believe the EPA has this authority. But what the EPA has consistently been doing since its creation is just expanding its authority regardless of what Congress actually said their intent was.
I was hoping that West Virginia versus EPA decision would restrain them or somebody would sue them, okay? But then again, I was thinking to myself, the originator of this crazy electric vehicle restrictions is in California. And that's where the most cars in America are produced and sold. So the big car companies will be afraid, won't they? They won't have the courage to sue the EPA.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have the courage to do it. It's going to require Congress, frankly, Republicans, to engage in this and stop the EPA dead in its tracks, no pun intended. But you cannot continue something like this. You laid it out perfectly. Most of the electric batteries come from China. The minerals for the batteries come from China. So why would we empower our adversary on the globe, especially because if you look at foreign policy today, China's basically trying to move and expand their authority, their abilities, regardless of what's in the United States' interest. We should not be going down that road. We need to pump the brakes. I do intend that pun, and then we got to reverse course.
Well, we should pump the brakes. I love that. By the by, I mean, the Biden climate extremists, they won't let us mine for the minerals to go into the electric battery. So we're giving it to China one way or another. That's the darndest thing I've ever seen.
No, totally ridiculous. But that's why in H.R. 1, what we did from a House perspective is we said we're going to expand mining capability. We're going to reform NEPA so we can actually produce pipelines, get our energy grid, get our energy infrastructure on track for what's necessary for America to thrive and prosper. But the Biden administration and congressional Democrats, they don't want to do it. They want to continue to go down this road, which is going to increase costs on the average American. And at the end of the day, this stuff increased costs on the average Americans. They may not have the money to pay for it, but they're going to have to pay for it through the nose regardless because the Biden administration wants the Green New Deal.
You know how excited it makes me to talk about H.R. 1. It's just the most exciting thing possible. A chill runs down my spine. Byron Donalds, let's move on. I know you're a budget hawk, so I hate to tell you, federal budget deficit has hit $1.1 trillion in the first half of fiscal 23. That's this fiscal year. Plus $430 billion, that's the add-on. Government spending, 13% for higher interest expense. Social Security, let's see. Social Security adds 10%, Medicare's adding 14%, and the Inflation Reduction Act is $1.2 trillion, not $380 billion. What happened to Joe Biden? I thought he was cutting the budget and cutting deficits. These numbers say he's not.
Oh, no, he was lying. But, I mean, listen, aren't we new to this? He's been doing that for 50 years anyway. Look, we knew the Inflation Reduction Act was actually going to be a disaster. They put a cute title on it to make everybody feel good. It's going to do the exact opposite. But the biggest killer right now, interest on the debt. Yeah. That's going to be the thing that's going to balloon our budgets faster than anything. It's growing at a faster rate than Social Security, Medicare, and defense is interest. So these negotiations that House Republicans led by Speaker McCarthy want to have with the White House are for one goal only, and that's to bend our spending down so we can actually afford and pay for all the promises and all the things that we want to do in Washington without interest basically crowding everything else out. We got to take care of it. So, you know, when you have the president, I think he tweeted out something about a day or so ago saying that, oh, MAGA Republicans don't want to take this stuff seriously. And I had to call him out. The man lied again because he's the one that doesn't want to negotiate. Larry, he could have increased the debt ceiling last Congress with Nancy Pelosi when she was Speaker.
Tell me about this point. We had McCarthy on last week. He had a good letter, I thought, cutting spending. He had H.R. 1 in the letter. He had work requirements in the letter, which is also near and dear to my heart and yours, as I recall. So the president just sits there, nothing. The clock is ticking. I mean, we're in now to mid-April. Really?
He wants the clock to run out. The president wants where's the camera? This one? America. The president wants the clock to run out. He wants brinksmanship. He wants to play games. Yes, Joe Biden, I'm looking at you. He's not interested in negotiations. He is interested in letting this thing happen at the last minute with a bad deal for you, the American people. That's what's going on. Work requirements, this is stuff that Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich agreed on. It was in the best interest of America's economy and the American people. And yes, we can go back to pre-COVID spending levels. We can do that, get our budget in order, get some of this fiscal money out of the system to get our inflation down and under control so the American people can thrive.
You know, today, I think it's today, yes, today, there's a long story in the Washington Post. GOP eyes new work requirements for millions on Medicaid and food stamps. Now, this long article neglects to ever say that 25 years ago, there was a bipartisan bill, Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich, okay? Bill Clinton, the Democrat, and the new Republican majority that put work requirements together. And instead of disaster and catastrophe, it was the greatest thing they ever did. Millions of people went back to work. The budget deficit went away, and they wound up with budget surpluses. Now, this is the Washington Post, so we'll have to excuse them for the usual Washington Post reasons. But you're making a tougher point, and so is McCarthy and I guess the House Republican. Joe Biden should think about this. Joe Biden was in favor of this kind of work requirement reform way back when he was a Democratic senator. What the hell's the matter with him now?
Say it for the people, Larry. He voted for it.
Wait, I would turn to the camera, but I'm already facing the camera. I'm just saying. No, I mean this. The Post will seasonally adjust. We know all about them. Right. But Bill Clinton should know about. Joe Biden should know about that. You know all about that. This would be essential, and this is a way to you get people back to work, so government spends less. And meanwhile, they contribute more. Just in terms of things like revenues for Social Security and Medicare, they would contribute more. And the work requirements, we'd give them time to find a job. But this would be essential to fiscal change.
No, I totally agree. Look, it helps to take the pressure off of our serious budget issues. We already talked about interest on the debt, how that's going to basically crowd everything out. If we can get people back into the workforce more, get our labor participation rate back up to around 64, 65%, it gets our economy moving. We do those things with sound energy policy. We actually get inflation under control. We bring more dollars into the United States. You keep tax policy the same, like under the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. That's all credible economic stuff. You do that, get some of these spending foolishness out of Washington, D.C. Now you got a recipe for success for our country. That's what Republicans are looking for.
I love that. Last thing, never gets enough attention. You are, I think, putting up some bills to promote nuclear energy.
Yes.
That is the cleanest energy. Why doesn't America go there? They got new inventions now, smaller ones, modules, stuff that you probably understand and I don't. But I've always liked nuclear energy. What's wrong with that?
No, it's great technology. I think the issue is there's a lot of dogma about nuclear.
Yeah.
People think about Fukushima. They think about Chernobyl. They think about 3 Mile Island. But the technology is vastly superior. The safety protocols are infinitely better. Even with our old reactors that exist right now, we've done a tremendous job, but we've let the bureaucracy stop us from innovating in the United States. So my bills do a couple things. One, it actually treats nuclear power like we treat solar panels and windmills, because, by the way, nuclear power is greener than solar panels and windmills. We do that. We provide the same. If you're going to let solar panels get subsidies, why can't we let modular reactors get subsidies as well? This is stuff that FEMA wants, DOD wants. A lot of cities in the country would actually like to bring this stuff into their energy matrix. It would be great for them. You would have sustainable power that is cheap. Big stuff.
I get it.
Big stuff.
I do. We're up against Dogma, and I know who Dogma is. I got him. He is the current Dogma president, but let's not go there. Byron Donalds, you are the best of the best. Will you come back soon?
Anytime. Thank you, man.
Terrific stuff. Appreciate it.